Welcome to the Great British Mickey Waffle. Tonight, we're excited to take you through some of our favourite Halloween moments over the past 5 years. We'll revisit our spooky experiences at Mickey's not-so-scary Halloween party from 2019, find out what some of us think are the scariest rides in Orlando, and share what Halloween is like here in the UK. Get ready for a frightfully fun show as we celebrate Halloween, waffle style.
Can you believe that until 1995, Walt Disney World didn't really celebrate Halloween with a special event? The first Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party was just a one-nighter in October 95, after the success of the Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. It grew year on year slowly, with only 2 nights in 97, 3 nights in 99, and by 2005 it was over 15 nights, because guests were creating a buzz about this new hard-ticketed seasonal event. Here in 2019, we see 36 separate dates for parties, starting in that traditional time of Halloween celebration, the 16th of August. The last party, as usual, is the 1st of November, giving just a few days turnaround for the Magic Kingdom to de-pumpkin and get the festive Christmas and holiday celebrations ready in one of the most infamous decorative turnarounds in Disney Parks history. As a family, we attended the party on Tuesday the 27th of August and were remarkably lucky with the late Orlando weather, especially since the previous day had been marked with a monumental thunderstorm that had rendered Disney Springs in blackout and many attractions across Disney World in a standstill. It was our third experience of MNSSHP, as it's so often abbreviated to, and I think this was probably the best yet. For those who haven't been to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, it's a hard-ticketed event at the Magic Kingdom, which essentially means that your ultimate ticket that we buy in the UK doesn't cover the evening at all. The additional cost ranges from $74 per person in early August to an eye-watering $135 per person for the 31st of October. For those hard-earned dollars, you do get a few special things. Pretty much candy as you can carry, a fantastic stage show featuring the Sanderson sisters from Hocus Pocus, 2 opportunities to experience the Boo to You parade, which, in my opinion, is the best parade I've ever seen, the new, for 2019, not so spooky, spectacular fireworks, crumbs that's hard to say, and castle projection show, which replaced Hallowishes, along with other smaller golden nuggets like the Cadaver Dan's Barbershop Quartet, a Vampirina dance party, and more magic shot photo pass opportunities than at any other time. The one thing that's also expected, but not promised, is reduced crowds, as this ticketed event has a cap on attendance numbers. With adults and child guests given permission to dress up in their favourite Halloween costumes for the evening, then this event is really one to participate in, rather than just attend. So, whilst it's ridiculous to be wished a happy Halloween in August, the atmosphere and excitement from the cast members in their special Halloween costumes for the night makes it fun for the whole family. So, what do you want to know, guys?
What were the ride times like?
Yeah, the ride times. So, it says you assume the crowds are going to be smaller. We found that the later the night went on, the better the ride times were. We did Big Thunder Mountain was about a 10-minute wait. We did Mine Train, and we waited about 15-20 minutes for Mine Train, and that was the longest wait we did that night. Things like Pirates of the Caribbean, 5-10 minutes if that. And before the party started, there's a bit of it's quite busy between about 4 and 5 o'clock, where some people are, obviously the day guests are still there, the Halloween party guests are arriving, and there's that crossover period. But as soon as it gets to about 5 o'clock, 5:30, the crowds start to drop quite significantly. So things like Jungle Cruise, 10-minute wait. So yeah, it does drop off quite sharply after about 5 o'clock.
Yeah, that's a good call, that, Claire. We went last year in 2018, and we actually found that sort of little in-between time, the queue times actually really did take a bit of a dip, and we were fortunate enough. We managed to do Pirates before they actually went into live actor mode, and then we came straight off and went straight on one of the first rides of the evening that had the live actors within the ride, and with basically a walk-on. And I think one of the things I've found, certainly from that experience, is you either make a decision that you're going to go and queue for characters, because some of the queues for some of the rare characters was extremely long. I know we started queuing for the Seven Dwarfs at around about 7 o'clock, and the queue line then was well over an hour, and we decided to knock it on the head, and then we went back just after fireworks, and we managed it was a 20-minute wait at that particular time. And so it's trying to be in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, I think you're right, John. I mean, we as a family didn't bother really with any character meet and greets. It's not something that we were desperate to do. If you're spending, for me, if I'm spending $75 a ticket, I don't want to spend it standing in a queue.
Absolutely.
But we stayed later than we've ever stayed before, and that's probably because Millie's getting a bit older and was able to stay later. Yeah. But we definitely used to our advantage things like the Halloween fireworks and things. So we watched the fireworks from the side of the castle rather than in front, and were able to get onto Mine Train directly after they finished. So yeah, if you're a bit clever about where you are and what you're doing, it's worth sort of planning out the evening. The crowds for the first Boo to You were really, really high. We watched it from in Frontierland, and it was crazy. Trying to walk from Frontierland over to the Haunted Mansion after that, it was a huge bottleneck, and that was the one time we sort of went, oh, hang on a minute, there are so many people here tonight. And it was partly because the parade hadn't left Liberty Square, so there was just this massive bottleneck of people trying to walk from one side to the other in both directions.
Would you pay $135 though for Halloween night?
Absolutely not. No. I love it, and I love BTU, and I love BTU. I love dressing up. I love the candy. I love the whole thing, and it's a great night. But there's no way I would pay $135 for it. It wasn't as wow as I thought. The whole parade's amazing, and there's been a lot of hype about the bride, Constance from Haunted Mansion. She is on. I hope I'm just not a spoiler for anyone. She goes along almost on a Segway, like the Flora Merryweather in the Festival of Fantasy Parade. So she sort of glides along the ground, and it's very cleverly black. She carries a book which is very cleverly blacklit from below, so it lights up her makeup and stuff. It's very good. And the Toy Story, the addition of the Toy Story floats, so sort of the Alien and Buzz, and then the Incredibles as well were in it, which was a bit odd. It's fun. Not really very Halloweeny, but neither is August, so I'll let them have it.
I think that's one of the key things, though, Claire, isn't it? I think for a lot of people who holiday in the summer, those August editions have actually become really popular. Generally with British people in particular who are there summer holiday, you pay that little bit extra, and you manage to catch one of the first parties of the year. It still feels very weird walking around and it's baking hot and you're looking at pumpkins, etc., isn't it?
I know, and actually the Magic Kingdom transformed into Halloween. So when they start putting out the pumpkins on Main Street and all of the decks, that happened about the 12th of August.
Yeah.
Which I think is earlier than ever before. And we were really excited, 3 years ago when we realised we could actually catch one of the first parties. I think it was the beginning of September we thought. It was just amazing because we'd heard so many things about this party that everyone else had been to, and we couldn't because we were never there in September and October.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, and it's really exciting. I was like, yes, I'm going to be able to go. And it was fab, but I would not pay the money on the 31st of October.
Yeah. I
don't know. Would you, John?
No, I don't think I honestly would. However, I think if you didn't have a ticket, if you buy the party ticket on its own, then it then makes a little bit more sense, because I think for a lot of us from the UK, we'll go there, we'll already have a park ticket, and then you're paying on top of that. Whereas I think for a lot of Americans, if you're doing it as a special treat, the park ticket itself for a day in Magic Kingdom is silly money. So $150 isn't a whole lot more than that. So perhaps you might get a better deal out of it that way. Very few Disney attractions can claim to have taken so long to come to fruition and actually transcended the whole of each of the Disney parks throughout the world, quite like Haunted Mansion. Who would have thought that a ride many of us love became such an unexpected challenge to the very first Imagineers, working with Walt Disney himself? It becomes a who's who of legendary Disney Imagineers, from the very first drawings by Harper Goff before Disneyland opened, to Ken Anderson, who was then asked to create a story for the ride in Disneyland just 2 years after it opened in 1957. Walt rejected the original plans outright, complaining that a dilapidated building in his brand new theme park would be unsightly. And indeed, the whole storyline caused debate about how it would be interpreted by guests, and the conversation probably became quite heated as they tried to choose between Imagineering a scary or a funny experience for guests. There appeared to be a stalemate and a turmoil as to what could be created. Initial plans show a walk-through haunted house, together with a wax museum, hardly what we've grown to love. The whole project didn't come to fruition until after Walt's passing. The New York World's Fair of 1964-65 saw the Imagineering team focus its attention, and indeed budgets, on technologies and designs that would take centre stage in the future of Disney parks. The challenges, and indeed the successes of the World's Fair, reinvigorated the Imagineers. Mark Davis and Claude Coates now drawn into the argument of frightening guests or providing an enjoyable adventure. Rolly Crump and Yale Gracie were put in charge of visual illusions to be seen in the attraction, which even at the date of Walt's death in 1966 was still going to be a walkthrough. Xavier Atencio is widely credited with bringing the project together, and rather than ditch the scary adventure of Claude Coates or adopting the funny and gag-filled ideas of Mark Davis, Xavier, or X to his friends, ensured that both got their way and ensured that by combining their ideas and ingenious Imagineering skills, the project was finally moving forward. One final piece of the design jigsaw saw the Omnimover system become a reality, from the People Mover seen at the World's Fair and put into the Adventure Through Inner Space in 1967. This is exactly what the design team were needing, a continuous chain of semi-enclosed ride vehicles that could rotate and point those in the ride at a set point of reference within a moving ride. The Doom Buggy was alive. Haunted Mansion was opened in Disneyland on August the 9th, 1969, which in Disney terms is just in time for Halloween. Its success led to the decision to quickly include it within Walt Disney World, where it became an opening day attraction, yet was a different experience from the one seen in California. The narration by Paul Frees as your ghost host and the music of the grim grinning ghosts became synonymous with the ride. The mix of devilish humour mixed with the haunting of 999 ghouls ensured that the ride was the perfect mix for the theme park visitor, with many stories evolving about the elements of both rides that remain part of the folklore of the ride. As Disney expanded, so Haunted Mansion evolved and took on a determination for Imagineers to put their own stamp on the ride. In Disneyland Paris, Phantom Manor appeared with a darker and more scary storyline, which saw for a unique soundtrack too. I look forward to hearing the views of my fellow wafflers about this one, as it really does add to the list of rides that Disneyland Paris has that surpasses the experiences seen in the USA. Elsewhere, Tokyo Disney has a ride that closely resembles that seen in Magic Kingdom. Mystic Manor in Hong Kong lacks the ghosts seen in other parks due to Chinese cultural beliefs, but it does offer a trackless ride system and a musical score by Danny Elfman. The newest Disney park in Shanghai has avoided that difficult cultural clash and omitted including their own Mystic Manor. Haunted Mansion continues to reinvent itself, be it with fan stories and tales that ensure a legendary status, to Christmas overlays, new scenes, hidden Mickeys, hidden Donalds, interactive queues, to fast-pass photos with hitchhiking ghosts, with characters and a storyline that transcend the test of time. In all of its forms, Haunted Mansion retains the mystique, the intrigue, and the happy haunting fun that it was intended to all those years ago. And long may those happy haunts continue for many more years. And with your doom buggy bar raised, that brings us to an end of this short history of Haunted Mansion. May your hitchhiking ghost always follow you home.
Yay, we love Haunted Mansion.
I don't know anyone who doesn't.
I know. It's always like on everyone's list of like favourite rides or like the best themed rides at Disney.
I really want to do the Mystic Manor one in Hong Kong. It's just the score from Danny Elfman.
Yeah, that sounds like it'd be like super fun.
And I want to do the Nightmare Before Christmas overlay at the California one.
Yeah.
Is it over Christmas they do it?
It's from Halloween.
From Halloween
to
onwards.
Christmas.
Yeah. They also do it at Tokyo,
Yeah.
Ooh.
which is slightly different to the California one.
Yeah. I love the Phantom Manor version at DLP, which has a totally different backstory. So it is well worth looking up online and having a look at the backstory. They also changed the backstory slightly when they tweaked it earlier this year, or last year rather. So it's definitely worth looking it up because it is a different backstory. It's actually linked to the whole town of Thunder Mesa, which is where Frontierland is basically set. So there is so much to see. Also, I think people miss out Boot Hill in DLP because it's perhaps less obvious where it is. People walk past it, but it's definitely there and definitely worth a look.
And of course, there's the Vincent Price narration,
Yeah.
which is very unique.
Mm.
Yeah.
The creepiest thing about Phantom Manor is the ravens outside the ride.
Yeah, that's true. We got a good picture.
Took a picture of one last time we were
Just
there.
on the gate outside.
I think in all of the parks, though, I think the actual theming has become quite a thing, I think, with a lot of Imagineers, and it becomes more interesting to see. You know, I don't think there's even a year that goes by where you go even to Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World where somebody's either moved some part of the ride and put a different hidden Mickey in a different place, and it retains that sort of real joy because you're still going, you're still trying to look at how the ride has changed. And it took, I've got to admit, even last year, I think it took us a good 4 or 5 rides on it to actually find out where it takes the photograph that appears on your photo pass, because it seems really obvious. It should be right at the end, and it isn't. It's right near the beginning. just a little bit of a heads up for some of our listeners.
Still can't quite work out which direction they take it from either.
No, we've got sort
Whether
of
it's
both of us
left or
looking in
right.
different directions.
It's
Like
weird,
a
isn't it?
photo.
It really is. Yeah, you do get some rather funny photographs to begin with.
What I love as well is that the different versions have got such different buildings.
Yeah.
Like, most rides that you get across the different parks, they don't look that different. Things like It's a Small World,
Yeah.
roughly the same wherever you go, and things like the carousel, teacups or whatever, you can kind of tell what they are. Whereas Haunted Mansion, Phantom Manor, Mystic Manor, they've all got such different buildings.
And I wonder why that. I think that adds to any Disney fans' enjoyment of it as well, though, doesn't it? Because it's not just a dropped-in ride that's sort of straight out the box. Yeah. So it worked there, so we'll just do it exactly the same. It's been shown so much love in every single park that it appears in.
The Disneyland one is like a New Orleans.
Yeah.
Mansion.
Yeah.
And are they the only one? Is that the only one with the Hatbox Ghost?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that part of the reasoning for DLP's Phantom Manor looking like it is because they changed the idea of it wanting to look like a normal house from the outside. They decided, no, let's go for the full-on Scooby-Doo spooky thing. And it is. I mean, you look at that house on the hill and you think, yep, Scooby-Doo.
There's actually a book that, and obviously trying to research some of the information for this, Pete. There's actually a book, and I still would love somebody to actually come and say, well, that definitely was the case. But they were saying that some of the initial plans was for Walt to actually have the voice over as you went through the haunted house itself. And that came on a vlog that I was watching last weekend. And I still have doubts as to whether that could actually have happened. it's just one of them pieces. Does that add to just the folklore of the actual ride? And again, there's so many different stories. There's stories of cleaners in the actual, when it was being built, the cleaners refused to actually enter into the original building because they were so spooked by it. And I think it's lovely, because I think that was the way that the whole place was intended as. It's not your average sort of ghost ride. It is something that's got a bit of fun to it, and it's got an underlying element to it, which if you let yourself do, it could actually spook the life out of you in some ways as well.
So which is everyone's favourite scene in the Haunted Mansion or Phantom Manor? Because I think the ballroom scene is it's well known. But I actually quite like the saloon scene in Phantom Manor.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
after
true.
the town. Yes.
Does anyone like Madame Leota best?
As long as someone's not taking a photo with a flash, it's all
Yeah.
fine.
Or saying it loudly over the top of the voice.
I
Or
think
I don't like getting stuck there. I have to say, I'll be honest. I don't enjoy if it comes to a momentary stop at that point. That's not my favourite bit.
why.
I don't know.
I think my favourite bit is when the projected faces on the statues and they're all singing.
Yeah.
I love that bit. That's
Yeah,
my
it's
favourite,
good.
I think.
See, Madame Leota was my favourite character in the film,
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
but I think my favourite scene is probably the graveyard.
I think it's only in DLP that they do it properly, but I might be wrong. But the Phantom playing the piano. In Phantom Manor, you have a shadow that is playing the correct.
Yeah.
It's an organ, isn't it?
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
No.
that's good.
No
Do they
piano.
not? Do they not have that in Walt Disney World? I'm sure I've seen it. Like they're.
So there's a harpsichord that plays itself in
Oh, that's it.
the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now there's a shadow over it, and the shadow's hands follow.
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant in the ballroom scene.
No.
Earlier.
Earlier on.
But then also, I'm just going to throw a honourable mention in for the stretching room,
What?
Yeah.
which might just steal the show every time, especially the new pictures at DLP.
Yeah.
It depends. It really depends whether you've got someone next to you saying the whole spiel, and I'm looking at you.
Hey, don't say it out loud.
you just like
Or
you were
whether the
singing.
stretching room's stretching at the moment.
Yeah. Well, the first time we went after it had reopened, we had a bunch of very annoying kind of teens and 20s who were basically talking really loudly and shouting at each other and so on, all the way through the spiel. And we were trying to, and they were just going, and just making a big deal of it. So we couldn't hear poor old Vincent Price at all. It's really annoying.
I'd have kicked them just like in the dark.
Dark.
It's dark, no one's gonna know.
Yeah.
Just give
Couple
them
of sharp elbows.
the ankle.
Yeah.
Talking of the stretching room, it is operational in DLP where it isn't in Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
In Walt Disney
Yes.
World, it's just open. You walk straight through, so you don't have it.
That's because it's on the same level, so you can just walk through.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
Hidden
Spoilers.
secrets.
Yeah.
Whereas at DLP, you can't.
Yeah.
But you are socially distanced. There are marks on the carpet.
Yeah.
There are little numbered boxes.
I think there's 6 or 8.
Can you imagine if it was dark and then when the lights came back on, there was a couple of people missing?
Oh, someone's got to do that as a prank one day.
Oh, that'd be brilliant.
Great.
Do you think the
Some of the
CMs would do that
CMs.
one day? Just like, I
Yeah,
don't
they
know.
should plant. They should plant someone.
And does everyone know the sneaky trick in the stretching room?
Go.
Yeah, like where the door is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the door is always underneath the girl with a parasol.
Yeah.
So if there's a bit of a queue, make sure you station yourself near there as you go into the stretching room, and then when the doors open, you'll be first in the queue.
Yep.
There's a little box on the wall at Walt
There
Disney
is.
World, and it's got a tiny little red light on it. If you're right next to there, you're right next to the light. And it's also, I know we've asked quite a few of our guests recently about, I think we've mentioned about sort of tours and who's been on different tours and so on. The Keys to the Kingdom tour I did a few years ago took me on Haunted Mansion, and I'm not going to give away any of the secrets at all. So if you are listening, I'm not going to spoil it. But actually, it was fascinating, and actually to go into the degree of detail that's within there is well worth doing Keys to the Kingdom in itself, just to get on the ride and actually have it, that detail explained to you, even from the graveyard outside, with the little nod to Mr. Toad's Wild Ride as well.
Yeah, I've got such a bad memory, so I don't remember half of the stuff I was told on that tour. And it makes me so sad because, I'll just need to do it again, I guess.
Yeah. That's made me want to ride them all over and over and over again. I'm sure everybody else is the same.
Spooky season is pretty much over, but I think most of you know that Halloween is my jam, and I will do anything to make it last as long as possible. So today I want to talk scary rides. Now, even a family-friendly park like Disney has some rides I definitely wouldn't take a kid on, let alone over at Universal. So I want to know, what are some of the scariest rides you've been on in Orlando? Jill?
Do you know something, Sammy? That's such a loaded question to ask Jill, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah.
But that's nightmare-inducing, Small World.
Well, I have to say, for me, I mean, I love It's a Small World, so it's not a nightmare to me at all. Not so much scary, but definitely spooky, Haunted Mansion. I love it.
It just has the best spooky vibes, right?
Yeah.
I love the Orlando version. I love the Paris version, which is darker and spookier, and has Vincent Price back. Yay! So I love those. Scary. It's a relative term for me, because the most extreme ride I do is probably Pirates of the Caribbean.
There's a dip there, isn't there?
There is, in the Paris version, there is definitely at least 2 drops, if not 3.
Okay.
And that you do actually feel at least one of them. Whereas the Orlando one, I sort of turned to Peter at the end and said, "Was there a drop? I missed it." Yeah.
Is that what you find scary, would you say? Like, what is it you find scary on rides?
I'm a dropophobe. I do not like drops. I don't like losing my stomach at the top of the ride. It's so
funny how like we're all so different, because I love that. It's like my favourite thing, right?
Yeah, same here.
Anyone else agree? Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm with Jill as well. And I think, Jill, this is something I think a lot of our listeners have also sort of been in touch with us. I know you feel vehemently that it's very much Team Wimp, but it isn't. It's that whole fact that you go to a theme park, and you go to Disney in particular, and there are things there that are for everybody. And there are things even for you that you don't feel that you want to go on, but you don't feel left out. And I think it was last month when we mentioned about Tower of Terror, and about the fact that you were able to just walk through the queue line. You're still able to go to the themed lift and take the chicken exit, but it was still themed as a lift. And that's the extent at which, I think it shouldn't be seen as being a negative. It's seen as being, you go in and you're actually able to enjoy the parks in the way that you want to. And I think that's important.
Which is very different to British theme parks that seem to be about breaking world records. Drops, twists. Yeah.
Highest, tallest,
There's a place for that in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's from the UK, apparently.
Yeah. But it's very odd, because in some ways I'm not a typical theme park person. But I do enough in Universal to enjoy it. But I definitely do more at Disney.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, it's the spookiness of Haunted Mansion that I really love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think for me, one of the scariest rides I've been on at Disney anyway is Dinosaur. Like, how loud is that ride?
And how juddery is that ride?
it's so loud. It just takes you by surprise. I think that's what makes a lot of things scary that maybe wouldn't be scary otherwise, is the audio. Like, what do you guys think of Dinosaur?
Yeah.
Not done it.
Not done it.
We've not done it. Every time we've been past it, it's either been closed or it's been a really long queue, and like, oh, we'll come back to it later. We've never been on it yet.
There you go. There's
gotta do it. It's
something
so
else
good.
on your list.
Something else on the list for our next trip.
If you don't like loud noises, put earplugs in.
Peter is
a really,
definitely trying to get me to do it.
I think she should.
Yeah.
There's no drops or anything.
Drops,
you know.
yeah.
It doesn't look too intense from what I've seen in videos.
To me, it's the audio.
I'm with you there, Sammy, and I think as well, it's one of those real sort of tricks where you're on a ride, and it's probably jolted no more than Winnie the Pooh, if I'm being honest. Okay. But it's just the fact that it's dark and the fact that you're sort of jolted around, and then you are met with this kind of wall of sound when you see each of the dinosaurs. And then I'm not going to give away the spoiler for the photograph, but I've got there's a series of marvelous photographs I've actually had where my eldest son, every single time, is caught out by it. And the rest of the family, all we're doing is just pointing at him for the photograph. And it's like, it's just brilliant.
Honestly, that's me. I'm going to get a picture. We'll get pictures of Dinosaur together for the show notes.
Yeah,
so be sure to check out the show notes. But oh my gosh, like most of the time my head's down and I'm like, it's bad. Yeah,
it's quite an underrated ride in some ways as well. And I think some of you hit the nail on the head there. But basically about the fact that it's the audio that makes it scary. And it is. It's one of those ones. And if anyone's frightened of dinosaurs, don't go on it. Don't.
Yes.
Don't.
I love dinosaurs. I love dinosaurs, but I still get terrified.
Yeah.
I don't like things that jump out at me.
The clues in the title.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So come on, who else? Tell me your scary ride.
Well, do you know what? I'm going to say it's not about the particular ride. I'm going to say it's the feeling you get. We've spoken about audio, but what about when it goes pitch black? Because it doesn't matter what ride you're on, but if you go into darkness, whether it's like Jill said about Haunted Mansion, you go in and it's like, it's just dimly lit. It just builds that atmosphere. Yeah. Because do you remember the first time we went on the People Mover?
Yeah, I was just thinking that
during the
there's a bit that goes pitch black in the dark, and the car stops.
We stopped there for about
and we're just like
5-10 minutes.
Is this supposed to happen?
And it was like you can't see. There was no light. I had the torch on my phone just to try and work out what was going on. There was no sound.
Oh.
And just that was as scary as being on Small World for 45 minutes.
It was you spoiling my Space Mountain ride then. You tossed the torch on the People Mover.
Oh,
it's so funny.
It's just something.
I mean, if that's something you're scared of, like if you're scared of the dark, something like that would be proper terrifying.
Yeah. It just something is you just don't. It was our first ride
on it.
People Mover. Just didn't know what to expect. It's like, is this meant to happen?
Is there going to be a drop?
Yeah.
Are we going to go upside down?
But then it's as with a lot of things, it's the anxiety and the things that you build in the queue.
Yep.
One thing I've learned: never read or try not to read too much of the warning signs, especially at Universal.
Yeah.
Because you look at that like, okay, have you got this? Have you got that? Or this goes upside down. All the sort of things you think, I'm just going to sit down and I've read it. That's enough. I don't need to do the ride.
Yeah.
It is one of those things.
Worse.
It's just ignore it and go with it.
Obviously, if you do have a heart condition and you are pregnant, maybe not.
Yeah.
But if you're in good health,
like if you've got a heart
condition, you can probably ignore them.
Yeah, but I have to say, I wouldn't say the ride that's scary, but it's quite thrilling. And I think some people found it scary when it first came out. It was Hagrid's going down to Universal.
Yeah, still haven't done it.
I think
yet.
it's amazing, really is.
Yeah, for someone who isn't like massive on roller coasters and hasn't done a lot of research into it could definitely take you off guard 100%.
Yeah, from things like drop tracks.
Peter, sorry, we were going to say something.
Carry on. It's fine.
Yeah.
That spike as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not expecting it, that spike, boom, boom. Yeah. No, I was thinking talking about the dark made me remember the first time we did Phantom Manor together. We got into the stretching room. Phantom Manor, for those who don't know, is the Paris version of Haunted Mansion. We got into the stretching room and got down to the bottom, and it suddenly went dark, and suddenly I felt a hand in mine.
Fortunately, it was me.
It was her.
Some random.
Yeah. And so Jill got through that, didn't you?
Yeah.
No, a funny story is my mum went on Tower of Terror for the first time, and she loves rides. She can do roller coasters and everything, but I think it was just the unexpected. And the poor man sitting next to her, she held his leg through the whole ride. Not my leg, who was also right beside her. The man on the other side of her.
Jill, that's probably the only attraction that tends to happen. On you just grab whoever's next to you, grab their leg or their arm, just to hold on for dear life.
Or if you're on the outsides of seeing people just hanging onto the cage of the actual elevator as well, it's just like
that's
like
amazing.
It's like one of those Garfield in the 80s.
Yeah,
just like completely clung on.
Oh yeah,
That's so funny.
just don't have any lasagna before you get on it.
Definitely
no,
not. No, definitely not.
At Universal, for me, it used to be Jaws. Even though Jaws is like my favourite movie of all time, I'm not a big fan of things jumping out at me. So I used to get absolutely terrified going on Jaws. I would keep going on it, but it absolutely terrified me. And more recently, the Kong ride at Universal, if you've been on it, it's not the ride that scared me, it's the queue. They have a scare actor in the queue that like jumps out at you. So when that happened, that was so scary. So scary.
I don't trust scare actors. I worry that I'll punch them if they jump out at me.
That's me the Houdis, isn't it? I think
Yeah.
I'm really struggling with this, Sammy, because actually I'm a massive coaster junkie, and I was thinking of probably the worst, or was it the best? I think it probably is the best.
Rides the line, doesn't it?
Yeah, and the best one was Gwazi at Busch Gardens when it was a wooden coaster. Now they've completely demolished it. It's coming back next year as an iron Gwazi, but as a ride, oh my word, it was something else. It was just like it was just amazing, and it's just like even mentioning it now, my back is still sort of beginning to hurt. And it was one of them rides that you're on with the kids, and then whoever was on the inside was just like, and everyone just slides across and across and across, and you get off and you're just like, oh, that was a bit different, wasn't it? And it was, but I don't know if I could describe it as scary or not, but that, to me, that is the one where the exhilaration level was at such an extent that you felt as if you were completely out of comfort zone. And I think that was more because it was wooden track than anything else. And again, if you do have a medical condition, please don't go and ride Gwazi, because I tell you what, I didn't have a bad back.
He gained a medical condition.
I've blamed it on me bad golf ever since. It's Gwazi that's caused me bad golf more than anything else. And if it was scary, there's one ride at the whole of Magic Kingdom that I just won't go on. And I bet you'll never guess what it is.
Teacups.
Small world.
Ben, you're right. Yeah, it's the teacups.
Yeah,
I can't stand that motion of just going round in a really small circle. It's one of those ones. It's like even as a kid, when like the local fair came to town, and I just like, I can't do that.
See, I love a spinning ride.
I don't.
No.
And the faster it spins, the better it is.
It's not good. It's not good. I'll hold the coats for the teacups, and occasionally, in order to prove a point, because I take a lot of people onto scary roller coasters, and maybe my wife is out of her comfort zones when we do that. So when she does suggest the teacups, I have to go on, and I can't just stand at the side. I have to take my medicine as well, and I will put that on the table. It's not a case I won't ride it. It's just like, okay, it's payback time, and I'll prove the fact that I've taken you onto some ridiculously fast and so many G's
Guinea
worth
pigs,
of so
yeah.
many G's worth of pressure on your neck and this and the other. So I think I can try and do the teacups.
Now you see, I cannot stand waltzes. I hate waltzes
Yeah.
at a local fair, but I
I'd
can
agree.
very easily ride teacups and Stormforce Acceleron.
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
Storm in a
What's-
teacup,
yeah.
we call it.
Yeah, Storm in a teacup.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can easily ride those, but I can't do a waltzer at
Yeah.
a travelling fair.
God, I love the waltzers. I just laugh the whole time. Like,
I used to be able
It's
to go
crazy.
online again and again and again when I was younger.
No, I don't do them. I can't do spinning rides.
No.
Yeah.
That's probably because Peter is trying to actually waltz on them.
that's not what they're for, Peter.
Once a dancer, always a
Always a
dancer.
dancer.
That's it, isn't it?
For those of you who don't know, I am an ex-competitive ballroom dancer, and I do a bit of teaching, or used to do a bit of teaching as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just so that you know what that
Just for context.
for context.
I'll tell you,
So, Peter, what-
Sammy,
Yes,
just a quick
John.
question, a quick Glasgow question for our
Please get
for
it
our
to me.
Glasgow listeners, because back in the day, the carnival used to come to the old Kelvin Hall.
Yes,
Does the
it's
carnival
now
still-
at the. It does come. It's at a different
Yeah.
place now. It's
Yeah.
called the Iron Brew Carnival, and it's now takes place at the
Of course it
SEC.
There we go.
Yeah, the Iron Brew
Just-
Carnival.
And we should
Of
be
course, it's Iron
just
Brew,
in time.
yes.
Just in time for a little bit of a plug for the carnival in Glasgow as well. I think that's quite
Yes.
seasonal. It's quite seasonal.
Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
starts in November or December.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
remember the exact date, but
Put me off.
Yeah.
Put me off waltzers for life. That did. I tell you.
they spin you so fast.
Yeah,
it's
they
amazing.
do. Yeah,
I love
they
it.
do.
It's my favourite. Peter, scary rides.
I'm going to go at Universal,
Yeah.
and I'm going to go.
Have as many as you want.
Yeah. And
All of them.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
gonna
what
go
Ben will
with
say.
the Forbidden Journey,
Okay.
because not only does it spin you, tip you, send you 100 different ways, but the moment when you go from a screen to, particularly from one of the screens to the Death Eater, I went, "Ah!" I
Oh, yeah.
really jumped the first time I did it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had my eyes closed a lot when I rode that ride. And at one point, I had
That's
my
not
eyes
the
closed.
point,
I
Becca.
opened them. I know it's not. But I opened my eyes and there was a dementor in my
Yeah,
face.
yeah. It's actually
You know
quite
what?
scary.
I forgot that the scary part of that for me is the spiders. I'm
Yeah.
Spiders,
terrified of spiders.
Mm.
Yeah.
So when there's big spiders in your face, it's pretty scary.
I'm not one of these people that minds a scary ride. I don't.
Oh no.
I just kind of take them in
Me
my
neither.
stride, really.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, I still ride Dinosaur every
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
I still rode Jaws over and over again. It just depends. Some people love to be scared, and other people don't. And
Yeah.
I'm one of the ones that quite enjoy it.
I think just with Disney, there's not as many
No, there
scary
aren't.
rides.
No.
Yeah,
But then also, like I say, it depends on what your level is.
but that's the
because
thing.
we've
Jill,
not done.
Jill would disagree.
Yeah,
you know?
we've not done Tower. We've not done Tower of Terror, but the theming of it, I know, puts you off.
Feeling of that puts me off.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. I'm going to toss another one into the melting pot here, because actually, if you were to sit on either Peter Pan or Winnie the Pooh, right, in Magic Kingdom, and you actually try to dissect the whole storyline from put yourselves in the shoes of like a 3 or 4 year old child, right, rather than a grown up. Winnie the Pooh in particular is completely mad. It's just like
Yeah.
Crazy.
it's just one of
Yeah.
those things,
Lumps
and you're
and
thinking,
woozles.
yeah,
Yeah.
but you
Yeah.
think about what you think about as a child, what you've been watching, that sort of really lovely sort of DVDs that your family have got for you, and things like that. Winnie the Pooh's a really nice, cuddly character and stuff like that. And you suddenly end up in Magic Kingdom and you're on this ride and it's like bumpy as anything. And you're like, these things come towards you and then away from you. Designed by someone who's perhaps had a few too many the night before they sat in the office and designed it. And it was just like, I just think putting yourself in the footsteps of a child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think both that and Peter Pan become very, very different rides. And I think probably as adults and as parents, I think a lot of us don't give enough credit to perhaps how scary some of those rides can be. I'm thinking back to the old, was it Snow White ride in Magic
that's
Kingdom?
still at Paris. Yeah.
Still
And how
it's not
scary
nice.
how scary that is
Yeah.
visually
It is
Yes.
scary,
for a
yeah.
young
Yeah.
child. You
and
know,
the
it's-
Pinocchio ride as
That's
well.
scary for an
That's
adult in
The
Paris.
Pinocchio one scared me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it goes so fast as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think also, that's a good point. And also, particularly if you have children with additional needs, children who are on the autism spectrum,
Yeah.
you know,
Sensory issues, too.
what might,
Yeah.
might be scary to one is not necessarily scary to another.
Yeah.
We learned that the hard way when we went with friends, and learned that rides where some children can see everything that's happening, like Dumbo, are much less scary than something like Peter Pan, where you can't see from the outside what it's going to be like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
So you don't
Yeah.
know until you get on what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's different for everybody.
I did have a second one.
Mhm.
Well, part of a second one, which is the first time that you do the reverse on,
Everest?
yeah.
Oh, yeah, that can be
Keep
really
it.
The
intense.
time that you do
Yeah.
that reverse
Keep
in the
it.
dark.
Keep it.
Yeah,
I
I
know
like
what's
that.
I know
and
what's
it-
coming up later in the show, Peter. Don't keep it to yourself.
Okay.
Keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself. We'll talk about that in a
Could
bit.
be
Hang
anything.
on.
Could be anything.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
but yeah,
We'll put a pin in that for
we'll
later.
come back
Yeah.
to that one.
Won't be much later.
That'll be soon.
I know, because Everest is actually one of mine.
Yeah, that's true.
Everest is the one ride that I've been on, that I've been scared of while I've been on the ride. I was literally shaking as we were
That's the
at
No.
all the pauses. I was actually shaking. So that's the one ride that I've been on that has scared me.
Yeah.
I think the only other ride that I've not gone on after the queue has completely freaked me out was the Mummy.
Oh, yeah.
And I love the Mummy ride,
But
but
you.
the queue, it completely freaked me out. I think one of the bits of hot air blown on my ankles, it completely freaked me
Okay.
out, and there was nobody else around. We were literally the only two people on the
It was
queue, and going to be
5-minute
the only
queue,
two people in the car. I was like, I'm not doing that.
I was about to sit down, and there was you like, going, I'm not doing
No.
this.
I'm chickening out on this one.
What did you?
We'll do it later.
Do you know what? We are way into this episode. What
Yeah.
were we talking about?
Halloween.
Halloween.
All together now.
This is Halloween. Halloween. What do you guys do for Halloween in the UK? I think this is maybe a little bit of what we need to just discuss with a few people, because it might be a little bit different from what we would like to experience. And I know that Claire has already experienced Halloween and celebrated it and come home
Yeah.
and then realised it's only
in August.
and realise I've still got another 2 months to wait.
Yeah.
You know, I know we've got lots
too
of
soon.
we've got lots of people who listen and watch our shows that come from the US. Go on, tell me what you do, and then I'll have a whinge. Go on.
Normally, I count down to Christmas, but it's been more Christmas people than Halloween.
Okay.
But we spend a lot of it watching films.
Yeah.
So things from Hocus Pocus, Hocus Pocus 2. Where was the Marvel one that was out last year?
Werewolf by Night. So I don't do horror films or slasher films or anything like that. So the Disney Halloween films are kind of the tame version of my kind of scary.
That's the ones you'd normally find on Disney Channel. But yeah.
So yeah, Hocus Pocus, Nightmare Before Christmas.
Which that one was all from sort
Yeah,
of
that one I've
almost
watched
all the way
many
to
times
Christmas.
all the way up. It's all good.
Yeah, that one's a bargain.
Yeah.
It's longevity.
And the
isn't it?
music
You know.
is incredible in that film.
What else? Things like Caroline and Corpse Bride.
Oh, Coraline.
Coraline is
Yeah.
terrifying. That's a horrific film.
Yeah, but it doesn't
Can't
have
I
any
can't
jump
watch that.
scares, so
It's still.
No, but it's
I
it's
don't like jump scares.
not great. The button
I know
knives
something
I
else is
can't deal with.
horrific that we spoke about last month.
Yeah, I can deal
Tony
with.
to Oz. That would be a Halloween film.
It would not.
I don't know.
I can deal with creepy. I can kind of deal with blood mostly, but I don't like anything that is gonna makes me jump.
Makes you jump.
So
You'd rather watch the Addams
Yeah,
Family.
okay.
I'd rather watch
I agree that-
things like the Addams Family. I loved and Wednesday and
Every time you said something
hang on a
scary, I
minute.
kept going. And then
Sorry, it's just like,
You can play along at home.
it's one of the things. You mentioned the word.
Yeah.
Adam's family.
Yeah.
You just
I mean, do you guys do trick or treating, or do you get set up ready for other people to come to you trick or treating? Do you have candy, sweets,
Yes,
stuff
but
ready?
because we're in a flat and we don't put any Halloween decorations outside, nobody comes and knocks on our door.
I'm a bit miserable with it.
and they turn all the lights out as well. So turn them up.
I remember there was there was one Saturday. I think you were at work, and I was like, I do not want trick or treaters interrupted. I think there was a Formula One race on, and it was like the time of night that it was on was about 8 o'clock at night. So it's like I sat there with the lights off watching Formula One. There was knocks on the door, and I ignored them.
Yeah.
I did, and I was I'm not here.
Awful.
Well, it was just, I don't know.
I'm trying to think what we do for Halloween. We don't go trick or treat. We live in like the middle of nowhere. So we live in the woods. And so there really isn't anywhere to go trick or treating unless you drive. And so we tend not to do that. Millie always has a Halloween party at school. They have a thing. We always watch the Strictly Come Dancing Halloween special. Just saying, because it's amazing. But we do watch Halloween movies. And I remember it's really different. So I know I mentioned earlier in the show about the turnips. I remember as a child going to Halloween parties. So I grew up in Scotland and I remember going to, I guess it must have been the Scout Hut, the local village hall that was the Scout Hut.
You're going to tell me
going to the Halloween
Scout
parties.
Scotland. I was honestly, at Clare. I'm just like...
It is so crystal clear. No, I was on the posh side. I was on the East Coast.
That's fine.
So
why does that come as no surprise?
Really... John, it is crystal clear in my mind. I remember very clearly. We would go to the Halloween party. There was apple duking. Yeah. So where you would kneel, none of this sticking your face in the water, kneel on a chair over the back of the chair with a fork in your mouth. You had to drop the fork into the bucket of the apples and spear an apple. Yeah. I remember having my hands behind my back and having they were like donuts tied to pieces of string from a rope covered in treacle. Yeah. And you had to eat the donut with your hands behind your back. Yeah. I'm trying to think of other things, but either those two things particularly stick in my mind as like a Halloween party thing. Yeah. And more I think about it, I think my poor children have missed out on the joy of having your face covered in treacle. But I think there are definitely Halloween parties that probably still go on.
Actually, that was sort of my childhood, and actually within Scotland, it was done and organised so well. And it was really, and again, maybe I joke about being in the Scout Hut, but for the people of Kirkintilloch in Glasgow, this was such a big thing as a Scout because it was just an amazing night. You came home, everything, you were drenched from head to foot because anything that you didn't
sticky.
But you didn't get, if your face didn't get put in it, then basically the bowl got turned up on top of you because that was just what we did.
Oh, the bowl of flour.
Yeah. And it was just like...
It was a bowl of flour with like stuff in the bottom of it that you stick your face in after you've had treacle on it.
But it was such a lovely experience. And I know Sarah's going to have a moment, and I will have a moment, because actually I would say certainly from being a parent and being in England, I don't think we do Halloween very well. We do it on this bit that we've kind of imported the worst bits of trick and treating from America.
I agree.
And what we've done is we've actually made it is like we go and knock on people's doors, and if they don't give us a treat, then we'll give them all kinds of abuse and things like that. And it's wrong. It's not. Yeah. It kind of legalizes sort of the bad things.
It's bullying.
It is. It's horrible, and I don't agree with that. And we've got a real beautiful thing that goes on certainly within where we live. There's an awful lot of housing. We've got young kids who know that if people put a pumpkin on the doorstep, they can come and they can ring the bell. They will get a treat, and at some point in the night, you remove the pumpkin and you're not welcome. And if there's no pumpkin there, you're not welcome. And
I think that's the great way.
That's a great way of doing it.
We really do.
I think that's a general thing now.
We don't explain it to anyone. It's unwritten. No. It's unwritten.
It's just one of those.
And I think that's been a really good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. What we have found,
I mean,
when the kids were younger, we went to town and we did it really, really sort of not OTT, but we actually we
made the effort.
Yeah, we made the effort. I think one year I had a 3 pumpkin Ola outside the front door, which was quite good. But which was dead.
I've definitely
easier than
done pumpkin.
I've never done pumpkin.
It was easier than carving Mickey.
Never done it.
Pumpkin.
Oh. So I'll share in the Waffler's Arms the photos of some pumpkins that we've done.
I will too. I will shame Ben into. In fact, I could do. I'm gonna go.
I'm gonna see if I can get him to do one.
I'll buy him one of them little carving kits. You know, you just get, and then you realise
you don't need one of them.
You realise the rubbish. You realise the rubbish.
Okay. Ben, I'm not joking. I'll share the picture that I've done, which had Tinkerbell cut out, and then her pixie dust I did with the drill.
Oh.
Like the 12-bit masonry bits.
And then people could look at mine and see.
Don't use one of those plastic carving sets.
See what the special needs version looks like when you look at my pictures in comparison to Claire's. You know? Just saying, like. You know.
Funny enough, I'm a little bit obsessive. If I'm going to do it, it's going to be done to the best.
You remind me of. Was it Tim? No, Tim Taylor from Home Improvement. More power.
Oh, I totally am. Yeah, so that's exactly right. Don't just use a knife. Use the drill. That's the answer. And you can like a Dremel. Okay. You can use like the cutter on that.
I feel like we need to have a little wafflers carving competition.
I think so too.
I'm going to use a turnip.
So I think we all carve a pumpkin.
We'll choose a vegetable.
We put it on the Waffler's Arms, and we get Waffler's Arms community to vote for their favourite one.
Like the ones in the contemporary and things like that.
Disney themed gets extra
let's do it. Why just us? Why just us? Why don't our friends enjoy it too?
Everyone. Yeah. But as
show us your pumpkins, Ben. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but I will go with that. This is why we shouldn't be left to do this on our own.
For those listening only to the podcast and not watching on YouTube, I have got the face that says "not guilty." That wasn't my fault for the first time ever. Thanks for tuning in to the Great British Mickey Waffle. We hope you enjoyed this episode and it brought you a little bit of spooky Disney magic into your day. We'd love to hear in the comments how you do Halloween, whether in the UK or the US. Come and share it in the Waffler's Arms on Facebook. And as Ben said, do show us your pumpkins, because actually I think that'd be a really good thing to do. And I'm doing it without giggling as well. I hope that's noted. That's noted. If you want to stay up to date with all things Mickey Waffle, then you know what to do. Follow us on social media at GB Mickey Waffle on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. Also, like I mentioned, come and join us in Waffler's Arms, because actually, if you think listening is fun, there's some amazing stuff that goes on there. There's some amazing little things that will help plan your next trip to the magic, be it advice of just simple things of how to save a few quid until the mid-month show, until the start of November. Stay safe, everyone. And there's only one thing left to say.
Happy
Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Show us your pumpkin.
Now my wheels in motion and my